Our next speaker, Sharon Arana, was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. She enlisted in 1997 as a Macedonian cryptolinguist. She was commissioned as an intelligence officer through the U.S. Army Air Force Officer Training School in 2009. She has a diverse background in targeting, collection management, geospatial intelligence, and Air Force Distributed Common Ground System, the Air Force's primary intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance weapon system. She has spent her career identifying and addressing family-centric barriers to readiness and finding solutions to enhance our military family readiness. Please welcome Sharon Arana.
Got it. Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for the intro. So again, just before I start speaking, right, I am here in a personal capacity. I too am on leave, and the views that I express are my own, right, and not the DoD's or any of our sister services. So thank you again. Again, I'm Sharon Arana. I am, my pronouns are she, her. I'm a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force with 27 years of active duty service. I'm a career intel officer, prior enlisted, linguist, and until recently, I was lead for Air Combat Command Sword Athena and was a WIT line of effort co-lead focusing on access to female specialized health care. Specifically, I advocated for the travel reimbursement and administrative leave policy for access to fertility care to include non-TRICARE covered abortion. So I say recently because in response to the 20 January anti-DEI executive order, both the Department of Air Force Barrier Analysis Working Groups, right, the WIT, the LIT, the HEAT, BEST, as well as the Athenas were all dissolved. Effectively, this silenced a major platform that the Air Force had to address barriers to readiness. I'm going to open this up on my phone. It's okay. So, okay. Further complicating matters, so subsequent executive orders against gender ideology are affecting our ability to conduct research in support of marginalized groups. So today, this morning, what I want to talk about was a common theme from yesterday, which was how do we continue to do our advocacy work during a time when the mechanisms that we had to formally elevate our solutions have been stripped away. So I kind of wanted to talk you through a powerful tool that we still have. And the goal of this was to have folks walk away feeling empowered, right? Something a little bit different. I agree, we don't wait for the dust to settle. So one of the ways that we can continue to do this advocacy work, right, in light of like not having formal mechanisms in place, organized groups, in light of, not being able to maybe get funding for the type of research that we need, is something called community source data. And I wanted to walk you through a study that my colleague, Major Sharon Messina, and I worked on, and the effect that our data set has had on current policy and continues to have. And I kind of wanted to walk you through the story, right, to show you like what it is that we actually are able to do. So our original initiative focused on securing abortion access for service members, and this was pre-Dobbs. We had already identified that abortion access was a barrier to service. This is something that we have known for decades. In the spirit of data-driven policy work, so right now my job is actually I'm up on ACC staff and I am data features, division chief for data features. So my entire world is about data and just nerding out with it. So in the spirit of looking at data-driven policy work, my colleague and I began to look for any research at all to help us like backing up the policies that we were trying to push. And what we quickly realized was there was, and there continues to be, a lack of comprehensive data addressing abortion access for military members. Because we didn't have the data that we needed, we chose to collect our own. And maybe a part of it was just us in like our, cheeky-eyed, like brand new thinking, like we can solve these problems. We can just do this ourselves. So we didn't have funding or resources to help us. Right? And when we started researching, we kind of fell upon community source data. So here's lesson one for this morning is that, don't be afraid to take a leap of faith. Community source data or crowdsourcing involves obtaining information, opinions, or work from a group of people, and typically you source this through online methods. Most of us have done surveys or questionnaires. That's essentially community source data. So the two of us sat down and we created a 24-item questionnaire to assess Department of Defense reproductive health policy knowledge and explore lived experiences among service women. So participants were recruited via snowball sampling through official email and closed social media groups requiring validation of active duty status. Snowball method, for those not familiar, involves having participants spread the word, right? So I send it to one person, say, hey, if there's anyone who's interested or you know another service member, please send it forward. That was the method that we used, super grassroots and not at all complicated. The questionnaire consisted of dichotomous response and free text open responses. And it was designed essentially to assess, again, DoD reproductive health policy knowledge and explore participant reproductive health experiences. And then to maximize anonymity, no demographic data were collected. We wanted to maximize anonymity because we wanted folks to feel comfortable being transparent with us. Our questionnaire ran from December of 21 to June of 2022 through an online digital platform, Facebook. So we ended up with a total of 1,124 participants who completed the questionnaire. And our questionnaire resulted in what is currently the largest body of data on this subject. Before I go into our results, I wanted to take a moment to discuss our process and how we went about prepping our questionnaire. So we originally drafted our questionnaire with the goal of collecting data on the experiences of servicewomen access abortion. That was our one focus. We're both intel officers, Moose and I. We're not academics or in the medical field, right? We knew that our aim was to collect data and insights to advance understanding of this topic and to help inform decisions and policy. What we didn't know was that we would also end up contributing to the academic community. So we knew we had absolutely no business finalizing a questionnaire of this magnitude. We reached out to our network and we were able to get insights from other like-minded volunteers who helped us tighten up our questions. So specifically what we learned was we wanted to maximize the inputs of our questions and gather data not only on experiences, but also on policy knowledge in order to identify barriers to access. So here's lesson number 2, don't be afraid to use your network, right? This is the reason that we attend symposiums like this. The effectiveness of our questionnaire was drastically increased thanks to the generous inputs from our peers and our our friends. I owe so many people drinks. So we got our questionnaire together, and now we're looking at how to disseminate it. We know we wanted participants, again, to maintain anonymity, and we wanted to cast a wide net. So we chose to go with official email, so through .mil, right? And closed social media groups where you had to verify your military status to join. So initially, we collected a significant number of inputs. Like that first wave was so encouraging. And then everything plateaued, right? So we had like a solid, literally 5 days where we're like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be amazing. And then nothing for like 2 weeks. So fine, hey, we're not getting any more numbers. What is it that we need to do? We paused, we did a hot wash, and it occurred to us that we needed to find a way to reach into our sister services and try to get inputs from them as well. So that's when we started looking at other closed groups. So lesson 3 is don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone. We focused on equivalent closed groups across the sister services and reached out to moderators. I got all up in people's DMs and was basically asking, hey, can I get a phone call with you? Can we chat about this? I understood the sensitivity of the topic, right? And what I didn't want was for people to automatically turn us away thinking because we didn't have that trust. So I had to try and develop that trust with folks. Anyways, we took phone calls, we shared data points, we were dogged, And in the end, we ended up with a significant data set. So it's lesson 4, don't sell yourself short. All right, so now we get our data together and we start to compile it. In our initial analysis was so incredibly surface level because, again, we are not academics, right? We're 2 intel officers who are just like really miffed about the current state of affairs, and we wanted to do something about it. So we start sifting through the inputs and gathering the data, and we end up with this. And I'm going to read you actual excerpts from the paper that we are about to publish. Respondents expressed a lack of knowledge ranging from 69 to 83% on the most basic subjects regarding reproductive care. Over 3/4 of respondents do not believe they receive adequate OB/GYN care across the board. 30% of respondents experience financial difficulty when obtaining an abortion. 75% of respondents would have benefited from mental health care following a termination, but only 7% of personnel were offered mental health care follow-up after termination, and 21% were forced to seek help externally. So Moose and I start putting these numbers together, and we take it on the road. We create a roadshow. We brief leadership, and it's incredible. We brief Chief Bass. It was amazing. It's taking off. And in February of 2023, we finally get administrative leave for non-covered reproductive health care, right? So that includes abortion and infertility. And we also get travel reimbursement for this care. It was an incredible win. And I'm going to tell you now, here's lesson number 5, is keep going. Because 2 years later, in January of this year, this policy was rescinded. They rescind the entire policy, and whoever rescinded it realized, holy cow, wait a second. They thought this policy, what they focused on was the abortion part of it, not realizing that they were rescinding a policy that was helping for all of our service members access any kind of fertility care, whether it's family building, IVF, IUI, abortion, sterilization. All of that fell underneath that policy for a reason, because we wanted to create inclusive policies. That policy has since been edited, right, and put back in, but it only covers fertilization treatment, infertility treatment. However, we still haven't quit. So remember earlier, like I said, that, we inadvertently collected the largest data set on abortion access among service women. So Moose and I gathered ourselves again, and we got connected with other like-minded folks in academia and the medical community. And they helped us take our data and extrapolated that to gain even more insights. A convergent mixed methods design was utilized. This approach allowed for more complete and corroborated results that could not be obtained through either a quantitative or qualitative approach, given the comparative nature of the research objectives. We were able to do secondary analysis of our data and gained more insights, and we have since used that data to draft multiple studies and used it to create a soon-to-be-published website to help service members navigate abortion access across differing state laws. So lesson number 6 is refuse to be silenced. We are all here today, right, because we want to be lethal. We want to serve our nation, and we want to do so with dignity, and that is not asking for special treatment. What started as a commitment to make a change has resulted in a wave of influence. Don't underestimate your ability to continue to affect change. I would echo previous speakers, continue making noise and look outside your comfort zone to make opportunities happen. So with that, I just wanted to say that I appreciate everyone who is here, and all of you who wear a uniform and all of you who support us in uniform. You are so valued. I want to thank you for your time and your attention.